There is a frustration that anyone who has actually applied the framework of this series will eventually run into. Two people follow the same protocol: the morning sunlight, the omega-3 optimization, the seed oil elimination, the mineral repletion, the sleep environment, the cold exposure, the zone 2 training. Both improve. Both are following the science correctly, but one of them improves twice as fast. One of them sees their inflammatory markers normalize while the others stay stubbornly elevated. One of them loses the appetite dysregulation in 6 weeks, while the other still cannot stop thinking about food at month 3. The first 12 volumes of this series predicted both should improve. Both do. The first 12 volumes did not predict why the magnitude, the speed, and the specific pattern of improvement should differ so dramatically. That is what volume 13 is for. It is called the Signal, and it adds the layer the framework has been missing. Most genes in your body code for a single protein. POMC does not. POMC, on the short arm of chromosome 2, codes for a single precursor protein that gets cut by tissue-specific enzymes into 10 or more bioactive peptides. ACTH, which drives your cortisol response, alpha MSH, which controls satiety and inflammation, beta endorphin, which mediates reward and pain, and several others, distributed across your skin, your immune system, your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your reward circuits. One gene, 10 products, the most extensive single regulatory hub in the entire human genome. And it is the gene that determines whether the bioenergetic protocols produce a 30% improvement or a 90% improvement. The reason is not that the protocols are wrong. The reason is that POMC and the 5 melanocortin receptors that read its signals are subject to individual variation that the standard biological framework does not capture. This volume identifies 3 specific failure patterns. They cover most of the patients who do not respond fully to the standard protocol. Pattern A is failure at the receptor level. The MC4R receptor in the hypothalamus, which normally receives the satiety signal, is impaired. The patient experiences this as hyperphagia, real, biological, persistent hunger that does not relent regardless of what they eat. They lose weight on the standard protocol but never lose the hunger. The receptor cannot read what the system is sending. Pattern B is failure at the gene expression level. Chronic stress, sustained over years, methylates the POMC promoter. The gene becomes partially silenced. Less POMC is produced, which means less of every downstream peptide. ACTH falls, cortisol rhythms flatten, satiety signaling weakens, mood declines, inflammation accumulates. They are responding to a chronically suppressed POMC signal that no longer has the amplitude to coordinate the responses it normally would. Pattern C is failure at a specific receptor branch. The MC1R receptor, mediating anti-inflammatory and reward arms, is less responsive. POMC is expressed, but the anti-inflammatory braking system never engages fully, and the reward signal arrives weaker than expected. The patient experiences persistent low-grade inflammation, mood vulnerability, and a tendency towards seasonal affective shifts. 3 patterns, 3 points of failure, 3 modified protocols. This is the layer that turns bioenergetic medicine into a precise one. The book walks through every pattern in detail, the genetic markers that identify it, the clinical signatures that suggest it, the lab findings that support it, the protocol modifications that address it specifically, the expected timeline, the outcome targets. It also explains the epigenetic layer. POMC promoter methylation is reversible. Specific interventions can demethylate it over months. The gene can be reawakened, the signal can be restored. This is not a replacement for the 5 super-levees. The levees are still the intervention targets. POMC is the molecular system through which the levee inputs are received and translated into biological response. The question becomes how each patient's POMC system will receive that restoration to bring them to full functional recovery. Volume 13 is the answer for the patient who did everything right and still asked why it was not enough. If you have ever followed a perfect protocol and watched someone else get faster results from less effort, if you have a patient who improves but never normalizes, if you yourself have felt that something specific about your own biology was not being captured, this is the volume that captures it. The Signal, Volume 13 of the Living Energy series by Catherine Hornbeak. Read the book.